Hey, what's good, everyone? Local Iceman here. For today's video, I'm going to do another viewer request video from a viewer name. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call you Abby for short, man. I don't want to butcher your name. But Abby had a question. Do you have a video on how and when to use the wash water? And although I've discussed the wash water system in a couple of different videos, I never really went over how and when to use it. So for this video, I'm going to discuss how and when. But before we get into the how and when, let's break up the shop book and do a quick overview of the components to the wash water system. Alright, basic components to the wash water consists of a 72-gallon tank. And this shows the return, doesn't show the pump right here, but this is the return piping to the wash water tank through the mesh basket or filter basket, which one we have. And these two piping right here doesn't show the valves, but one is, I think it's this pipe is for the wash water transfer system. This one leads to the wash water system, shown right here, which is a little bit better, shows the piping. So you got your hand valve here, you turn your water on, the water gets diverted to either side of the conditioner between the blade and the squeegee, and it's kind of jetted towards the center of the conditioner, again between the blade and the squeegee. And this suction pipe sits about 1 inch, no, probably about a ½ inch above the ice, and there's a one-way check valve also right here, so when the pump's turned off, water doesn't drain out. But it's sucking up water through this piping right here, through the pump, and this piping just kind of sits underneath the conditioner on the bottom side, kind of bolts on right there, and it comes up through this little opening right here to the wash water pump into the tank, and it kind of recycles the water back and forth, filtering out all the debris and stuff. Okay, so how and when to use the wash water system. First, let's talk about the how, then we'll go over the when. So how can I see it? There's two basic controls to the wash water system. You got your wash water pump right here, as well as your wash water valve right here. And once you get everything going, you got your conditioner down, you got your augers going. Just after you get your blade water set, you turn your wash water valve on. Then about 10 seconds later, you click your pump on. And you hear that little click right there? That means the electromagnetic clutch has engaged. And just because that light's on doesn't mean the pump is running. You gotta make sure you hear that click so the pump has been engaged. As well as you have to have your horizontal auger running, because the same pump that runs the horizontal auger is the same pump that churns the wash water pump. So this, along with the clutch here engaged, you're good to go. And once you turn it on, that's pretty much about it. Just kind of monitor the hose right there. It's not like the blade and the water here, the ice making water, we can change it during the ice resurfacing. Once you get everything going, that's pretty much about it. You just monitor the hose right here, making sure that there's water being sucked up into the wash water tank. For some reason, if the pump shorts out or if there's a short in the wire, again, if this light's on, doesn't mean it's running. So you just want to make sure that you just kind of look at this hose right here, making sure water is being sucked up back into the wash water system. Because if you turn your wash water on and you say, if you forget to turn your pump on, or if it stops working during your ice resurfacing, and all of a sudden you start getting all this slushy, wet snow into the tank, probably a good indication that your pump's not on for whatever reason, or you don't have your blade down far enough. If you don't have your blade down far enough, you get water leaking underneath the blade into your augers and up into the tank. As well as you don't have your blade down far enough, you'll start getting powder underneath the blade sucked up into the wash water. And if you have the basket, we have the mesh there, I did a video on that one, but if you have the basket, that snow could start clogging the basket, then you get a little backflow water. Not a huge deal, you just gotta turn your pump off. You just gotta make sure that, again, there's water in your system and that you have your blade down far enough so you're not getting powder going one way and water leaking out the other way. And that's pretty much about it. About half a lap to go. At least what I do, what Zamboni recommends is that when you're done with the wash water system, you want to turn your pump off first, then you want to turn your water off. That way you don't run it dry. But what I do is I turn my water off, then as soon as I see that dry, which is probably within a couple of seconds, then I turn my pump off. And there's basically, you don't want to run your pump dry. And there's two different impellers. There's a blue one and a black one. The blue one standard, the black one standard. The blue one you get through Zamboni. It's been soaked in oil. It's a little more forgiving when you run it dry. If you have a tendency to use the wash water system to remove excess water off the ice as you come in off the ice, or if you're an outdoor rink and you need to remove excess water off the ice because it's rained outside, then you definitely want to install that blue impeller because it's going to last you a little bit longer. And one last thing to know about the wash water, other than that's where you fill it up right there, don't fill up an exhaust pipe. Zamboni actually put a nut in a bolt there because I guess drivers were filling the wash water up through the exhaust. That's where you fill your wash water up. You want to fill it with cold water, and I say you probably want to fill it up after each ice resurfacing. You lose probably about 15% of your wash water during the process, so it's just best to top it off after each use. You probably go 2 ice resurfacing, maybe 3 without having to fill it up, but I just kind of top off after each use. After I fill the hot water up, I actually top it off with hot water. If it's just a quarter tank, I'll top off with hot water, because after I fill my main tank, the water is not as hot, so I kind of fill it up. If I have to fill it up all the way from empty, then I'll use cold water, but I don't see any problem topping off with hot water. Other than that, that's pretty much about it as far as when to use it. Let's go over the ice over here. We got the ice out. That's okay. We do a little off ice training. How I kind of see it, I use the wash water about, I don't know, 96.4% of the time. I think it's easier for me to explain when I don't use it. When I don't use it is when I've done the ice. I may have 10 little kids out here skating, half hour, 45 minutes, and I got to redo the ice again. I might not do it in that situation. But in any other situation, I will use it. Even though, say I have like 50 little bit older kids, and they're not making deep ruts or anything, there's a lot of surface scratches, the wash water system also helps clean the ice. Not only does it help clean the cracks and grooves out, but it helps clean the ice of debris and lint and just general stuff that's made it onto the ice. So even though the ice may not be totally beat up after a hockey game, you still want to use it to run it to clean the ice, because cleaner ice makes better ice. And another thing about it is that, and this is through a STAR training class that I kind of learned this from, that the wash water system also aids in kind of ice repair, I guess. So if you get a little bit powder, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, if you get a little bit of powder underneath your blade, it mixes with the wash water system, and the squeegee comes along and kind of packs that slushy mix into the grooves and the cracks and the holes in the ice to smooth it out. It seems to make sense. I don't know if the hot water comes along and kind of melts that all out, but that's what they taught us in the STAR class, so I'm going with it. Seems to make sense. But you just gotta, one thing, you gotta make sure that you have getting your blade down far enough so you're not getting powder underneath the blade and into the wash water system, as well as water coming underneath the blade into the auger, into the snow tank, because wet snow is hard to get off the ice. I don't think there's too much more I can add to the conversation here. Again, go ahead and comment below on you guys' uses of the wash water system and your philosophies on how and when to use the wash water system, if you have any tips or tricks as well. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. As always, I hope you learned something. And like the local iceman says, stay cool.